It is hard to know the degree to which the city of Pittsburgh has a group of people who are obviously very brilliant, understood or misunderstood the situation. Let me explain. The world looks for status, you know, like so and so met so and so, and they're neat because they met a rock star or something. I'm so very proud of the fact that I heard from Martha Gellhorn. Um, I come from a German background. People would say, well, African Americans, I followed my roots and we were a noble tribe. African Americans have been cheated of some of their heritage and legacy. When you look at the Beatles saying, it doesn't matter if I'm wrong, I'm right, I'm where I belong, which is in the British Museum with a bunch of stuff they heisted. McCartney was the name of a colonialist in India. But I'm not trying to grind an axe. I'm trying to put in perspective Pittsburgh. It's hard to know what they understood and what they didn't about what was going on. That's what I'm after. Yeah, the baggage of my intelligence and the margins, the sinkholes that my intelligence sink into has to do with less confirmatory bias than just the wide range of overlooked things that seem important. So, where people look for status, how does that apply? Is what I'm saying to the idiosyncrasies of the question: what Pittsburgh understands and what they don't. Well, people look for status, recognition. Does really good for a brother's heart when somebody says they like what you did on Twitter. And I like a lot of the things that are going on, particularly in Africa on Twitter. And, one of my teachers says nobody cares about Africa. Well, people care about Africa. But it's suffering enormously for the little that it's contributed to the pain of the climate change problem. So I try to keep after it. Everybody knows what a drag my life is. It's hard for me. I have carpal tunnels, but status and recognition, can you get out of Central America into the United States, or they're going to put you in a Uvalde south of the border and terminate you? They say it's not that bad, but what's the NRA doing? Spreading the gun laws. Only our biggest export is the Second Amendment. Oh, hush that, Greg. Get to the point. What's this about status? All right, all right. I'm not a bona fide Yenser, they say. I just grew up in Pittsburgh. I have an affected accent of the Yenser tribe. I do the same thing. When I talk, a little bit like the maniacal flippy tune. Affected, they say. It's fake. So I don't get the status of Yenser quality. I deny that. But I was born in Pittsburgh. October 20th, 1960, by the snowfall, supposedly. I mean, they needed that date, so it may have been misconcorkscrewed to put it on, but that's what's on my certification, birth certificate. So, October 20th, 1960, or a week after the Mass home run, but I don't get that stats. No, my gramps was from St. Louis, and I watched Bob Gibson shut out the Pirates. There I go wrong again, but even with COVID, even with carpal tunnel, even with diabetes, if I run from Jay Inslee's mob, from the Green Party, from the skeleton army, shaking warrior, warrior after me. If I hop the Amtrak, COVID, masses, the whole business, sleeping on the streets, begging for food, I am legally allowed to land in the city of Pittsburgh and stay there. I can sleep on the sidewalks because I was born there. Hail Mary. They can't kick me out. They have to put up with me if I sit down on the sidewalk. As long as I don't poop, as long as I don't do like Amanda Harcourt and run peeing on the walls, they have to put up with me. So that's status. Ain't that bad? I can do. I'd love to. But the COVID bomb is a little much for a diabetic with carpal tunnel. And all my work is here. Who's Pitt going to admit damages finally? Admit I got chased out of town and made vulnerable to castration by this Licky Chops pornography mafia out here in Pervert Central and ship my stuff back? Hell no. That may take responsibility for the torture of a child of senior faculty who was murdered by their estate. I ain't going to do that. No, that's not that kind of status. I can crash land head first on the sidewalk, but that's it. And the DA said when I told him I have free speech sometimes, that'll do it. Okay, so now we start to get to the idea of what they do. See, they do like this here. They give me this term, Jimmy Child from Bowling Green goes, escalation dominance. You say, you have a right to privacy. No, you don't. We have a right to peep because we put you in clem shot. You have a right to privacy to defend against pornography genocide. No, you don't. Because we impinge the question about date rape, we need to see what it's doing on your neuroplasm. You have the right not to be tortured and invaded psychologically by NASA. We know what Schizoid Man will do. We're going to get brainwave sonar from Microsoft. Brainwave sonar from Microsoft. Forget it. That's tinfoil hat, son. Now we get to stick things in your mouth. It's hard to say. I have a note where I can find it, written by one of the Joey Gibbons of Mansion Tri-State. It says, I think you know what I'm saying. They were putting on an ESP show, and he, at the end, he writes this down and hands it to me. Because they have, band whistle phenomenon. You don't know what band whistle phenomenon is. Band whistle phenomenon is when nobody does nothing to nobody, and then they start pointing the finger. You did it because you're a witch. And that's how they do it. And it stacks up. They start compiling and going back and forth. Band whistle phenomenon. The Krokag goes to Corona perceives, so the Swami knows exercises extrajudicial. They have words for things like extrajudicial. Like if you get reamed in prison by an ogre, they call it extrajudicial punishment. See, and they put the brainy, he's so brainy he wears his rabbi hat. Bernie Wattenmaker in charge of car theft in the neighborhood. And they started making phony phone calls because you said you love Beth. You don't really love Beth. So she's going to get you high and we're going to beat your brains in and kidnap you in a stolen car. And ain't nobody never going to believe you because it's an Orowski. And Mazarowski is out in Westmoreland with the Krokag Ragusta Corona's number one son, Mel Gibson. How much do they understand about this? Well, it's hard to say because Pittsburgh is accident prone when it comes to the records. They sort of are sort of sly in that way. The Crocodile Fingers didn't steal your stamp collection. He appropriated it for the Gurdjieff repay system. But Shulman went too far in slipping sacred, pilfered returns to the British Museum, who honorary the African warrior anointed them the sacred ancestor swastika. Pittsburgh knows what I'm saying. I think you understand me.